Hi, welcome to 10 Minute Strategy. My name is Peter Propp. I am the principal in the marketing leadership practice at Shore Communications, and we are here with McAdory Lipscomb. He runs CEOcoach.net. He consults. Mac, tell us about your business.
Well, my business is primarily sitting down with CEOs and helping them pass their audition when they're in front of their first set of investors. They are usually prepared to talk about their solution, but rarely for their business. And this becomes a template that walks them through making sure when they are presenting that they stay in charge of their presentation and that they are, in fact, committing to the investors that are listening certain things through the process, delivering on it in the presentation, and when they conclude, they are able to answer Q&A about their solution as opposed to about their business.
Right. So you're getting through the financial issues way up front, so the investor can very quickly decide whether they want to keep on listening, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
Common thing that happens, Peter, is that most folks when they're pitching don't get past their fourth slide. And that's because you've been given 20 minutes to get your idea across. And if by the fourth slide you've not committed to certain things like revenue streams, competitors, what the marketplace is all about, how you would use the funds, then the investors usually will take over and spend the last 15 minutes asking you those questions.
Right.
So this is a template that will allow you to get it out, get it delivered, and then answer questions about your solution as opposed to about your business.
Excellent. So we're calling this the 14 secret rules for a successful investor meeting, and they're not so secret, but I think it's a great formula. And so I'm going to run through them, and Mac is gonna tell you what goes on these pages. So page 1 is the company title page. What do you put there, Mac?
On the company title page, I put, of course, the name of the company. I also do it, since it's going to probably be televised or certainly projected onto a screen in reverse colors, so that it's got a dark background and a white light. And on that screen, I put the actual size of the raise. Mm-hmm. If I'm in an angel world, I am looking at 750,000. If I'm looking for an A round, it's 2 million. And the title page immediately qualifies the presenter, the CEO candidate, if you will, a way to qualify the folks that are in the room about, I understand what you are going to potentially invest in my company, and I recognize right up front that it's the right way to qualify both you and me.
Excellent. Page 2 is the overview and roadmap of the presentation.
Yes. This is fundamental speech 101, Peter. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. Okay. The agenda page is critical, and many people both leave it out or jump over it. But it, in fact, defines the roadmap from which the potential investor can understand where you're going to take them through the presentation. So you actually are establishing a commitment on the second page that these are the things that I'm going to talk to you about, and pay attention, and I will get to the things you will normally ask me in a business meeting.
Excellent. The financial overview is next.
Financial overview says I can immediately define what size business is going to be. I usually run the numbers out for about 3 years and say, right now, we are expecting that at the end of 3 years, this business will gross $25 million, and I'll be happy to talk to you about how we will get there.
Excellent. And the product page is number 4.
Product page, of course, is your elevator pitch. As I had one the other night, a fellow was telling me about how they're trying to do a Foursquare-like idea around the best dinner meals in New York. And I said, so what you're really trying to do is tell me where I can find the best chicken cacciatore. And he goes, yes. And I said, so you're like the Zagats for entrees. And he goes, yes, I like that. 5 minutes later, he was pitching that to a venture capitalist that was next to me at this particular event, because it had succinctly defined what he was for his elevator pitch.
Excellent.
And that's critical. That, even though it is up front, Peter, as I've gone through these over the years, what I've found is the elevator pitch is the last thing that tends to fall out of the overall communication strategy planning, because it's the most difficult thing to actually get succinct. And most of the key words of the elevator pitch come as a product of using the Fab 14.
Okay. Sounds good. So let's talk now. We start talking about the market.
the market. This is where you're just generally going to define, if I'm going into the market, I want to size it. It's $1 billion market. I've got a fellow that's doing a program right now around translators around the world, and that market's going to be $25 billion this year, projected to grow $10 billion over the next 5 years by one of the great Nielsen's or somebody else in the analyst world. So you use a third-party credibility to define the size of the market you're going after.
Right. And the customers in that strategy.
Customers are, how are you going to find them in that marketplace? Are you going to find them through outreach through social media, through traditional marketing? Is it something that will go viral? Are you also going to, in fact, find them through the direct sales distribution process, an alliance program? In other words, it actually articulates what will be your go-to-market strategy to find those customers.
Right. Or acquisition strategy, right?
Sure.
Revenue streams.
Well, revenue streams would be laying these 4 or 5 revenue streams if you're able to have that many in your model. You may have a revenue stream that says I am a subscription, and that this amount of money will come from subscription, this amount of money from an affiliate network, this amount of money from advertising sales, this amount of money from events. And what you want to make sure is that when you do the simplicity of that slide, that all of those numbers are added actually on the presentation page and foot back to your original numbers that define the size of your business earlier, so that you have actually said, earlier I told you we were going to do $750 million that year, and you go back to the first page and it relates to that 750, and all of a sudden the investors goes, wow, those numbers foot 3 pages in, 4 pages in. Right. And it's a payoff that says, I was going to tell you where those revenues are coming from. Here's where they're coming from.
Excellent. Competition.
Competition is always going to be out there. Many markets that have developed over time undergo technology transition, but there are a lot of folks that are doing technology competitive natures against you. You need to define competitors, because there are competitors. If you, in fact, go into one of these fundraising meetings and say, well, I have no competitors, it's a very naive statement, because
right.
That tells the investor that this guy hasn't done his homework if he doesn't think he's got any competitors.
Right, and the similar stream on barriers to competitive entry, right?
Absolutely. That's where you would potentially define if you've got some patent pending technology, certainly in the technology industry, that you actually have an intensity to go out and execute, even though you've got other competitors in the marketplace, that says that I know this business and I want to be in this business, and it allows you to be able to say why you would be able to fight them off.
Right. The potential for business and use of proceeds. What are you going to do with their money?
Exactly. If you give me $1 million, I want to show you that half of that money is actually going to go to lead generation and sales and bringing in the right people. Maybe 25% of that money is going to go to finishing out the platform that we've got to complete, and the other 25 is overhead. What an investor is actually looking for is that you have thought through how you would spend the money, as opposed to, oh my God, now I've got the money, let's go spend it.
Right.
And also it answers a strategic question, which is, does this person know what it's going to take to build their business, and have they allocated the funds correctly to build their business?
Right. Goals and performance objectives.
Well, you would define that I want 20 new customers by 6 months from now, that I want to have hired 20 new people in the sales and marketing area, so that you would actually talk about what are the management milestones that you are going to meet when you spend that money from the page before that would deliver against the business plan you defined earlier.
Right. And now we get into the management team and their strategic relationships.
Yes, the management team is certainly critical. You want to probably not read the entire resume, but give the top highlights for the 4 critical officers. 4 critical officers generally going to be the CEO. Where did they go to school? Have they done this before as a serial entrepreneur? CFO, who's going to manage the money, and have they got a track record of being able to manage it efficiently? The CTO and the CIO, generally a combination of the two. Does that mean that the platform works and this guy has the actual, or woman has the credibility and credentials to deliver it? And last but not least, the sales and marketing person that really understands how you're going to build the business.
All right. 2 more. Valuation.
Valuation. You can begin a negotiation by saying what your price is, or you can let the other guy define the price. My recommendation is that you go in with a precise number that says, I know what my company is worth today. You do not do a range, you do an actual number, because believe it or not, that's going to be the start of the negotiation for you. And if you say it's worth 8 to 10 or it's worth 20 to 40, then you really are putting yourself at a negotiation disadvantage, because they will always see the smaller number and you will always see the bigger number, and immediately you're confronted with, how am I going to find the right number? So pick the number that's close enough for you and define it singular.
One number.
One number.
Interesting. And finally, the review. So this is what you told them.
Exactly. Again, Speech 101, take that agenda page that you had, use it now as the summary page, take 2 or 3 key sound bites or items off of every one of those other pages that you used, and this one-page summary is, tell them what you told them. And it's going to be the key numbers or the key words or the key facts, like serial entrepreneur, generating this amount of revenue, and you do it in the same order you delivered it in from the agenda page, so that you have told them what you were going to tell them from the beginning, you've told them, and then the review page says you told them what you told them, and it's consistent throughout.
Right. Excellent. Well, we had a little challenge going, Mac, that you and I would run out of time before we got through the Fab 14, but it looks like we did make it.
Yes.
And I think it's a lot of good content that people will appreciate. I will put up a text version of this as well on the 10-Minute Strategy website, and a link over to your site at ceocoach.net. But I really appreciate you taking the time today on 10-Minute Strategy. We should have you back. We'll talk about some other stuff in the future, but this is a lot of fun. I want to thank you for being here. This is Peter Propp. Mac, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I enjoyed it.
All right. Take care, guys.